Good morning, everybody. If you could hear me, give me a thumbs up and we will get started. Okay, great. Broker Al, who is not a member of any trade organization, has been using a new advertising slogan, a new breed of realtor. Concerning this practice, A, it is acceptable as long as he is not licensed in more than one state. B, it is grounds for revocation for suspension of his real estate license. C, it is a violation of fair housing laws. D, it is permissible providing the word realtor. What do you guys think? Okay, realtor's a trademark organization. Okay. Um, People ask like what the board of realtors is and what's all that about. It is a organization you guys are going to pay fees to if you want to be a member of. Just to be clear, you don't need to be a realtor to practice real estate. You need to be a realtor to be part of the Association of Realtors, which gives you access to a lot of things you want and probably need to be a successful realtor. What the board of realtors really is, it's our lobbying group. They talk about those evil lobbying groups in the government that kind of get their special interest. Well, that's ours. Okay, so it's a trademark term. Discrimination, the sale or rental of residential housing accommodations based on sex, marital status, color, religion, race, or national origin of the prospective tenant or buyer is A, all of the options are correct, B, contrary to public policy, C, illegal, D, unenforceable. So if Tali said, so you don't need it, or is it just convenient to have? You do not need it, and you could say it's convenient to have, but it's more than convenient. It's kind of an essential to be a competitive real estate agent. And you go on their site, you can see why and what they offer and what you have access to. Many brokerages will require you're a member of it to work with them. But according to the state, to be licensed to sell, you don't need that. But many brokerages won't even let you work with them if you're not part of that trade organization. So yes, technically you don't need it. It's just convenient to have, but it's like super convenient, like having shoes when you go to walk on rocks. Not sure if that's a great example, but we'll work with it. Okay. Okay, all the other options are correct. Okay, what year was the Federal Fair Housing Act? What year was the Federal Fair Housing Act? Anybody know? (1968). Remember what I say about 1968? I don't care what the question is or what it says on your exam, circle it. I don't care if it says, why is the sky blue? 1968. If it says, when is your birthday? 1968. If you guys see 1968 on your exam, promise me you'll circle it. Everybody promise. And what's the question going to be? Who cares what the question is? Stop reading it. Just circle 1968 and pass. And when you guys see 1968 on your exam, you're going to be like, oof, that Joe, he's good stuff. How to write a review. Okay. The Federal Fair Housing Law provides for a United States policy of A, guaranteeing separate but equal housing units for all people in all of the states. B, providing fair housing for all persons throughout the United States. C, building houses units designed primarily for minority groups throughout the United States. Or D, eliminating prejudice wherever it exists in the United States. And the answer is B. What do you guys think of doing these webinars in these off hours, Saturday mornings, evenings during the week, or on Sundays? Because I got an interesting piece of feedback, which I kind of realized myself after somebody said it. Everybody's Wi-Fi connection is much stronger in these off hours because there's less people using it. I know we have like kids and work and all that, but one thing I didn't realize, especially if you work in an office, you're doing this from an office, a lot more people are using the Wi-Fi. So I noticed when we do it in these off hours, a lot of you guys have better connections and I do as well. It's kind of interesting side result I didn't think about when I was doing these off hours. But if you guys notice right now as I'm doing this, I'm having a lot less issues with breaking up when I speak to you guys. I mean, am I right? I sound a little more clear this morning. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I sound a little more clear. Okay. A real estate licensee may lawfully refuse to show a home to an Asian prospect who has requested to see it in which of the following situations? A, when the owner is exempt under the 1968 Fair Housing Law and has stated that his single-family home is not available to Asian persons. B, the agent may not refuse to show any home to an Asian person at any time. C, when the owner is out of town and has instructed the seller that no showings may be made in his absence. Or D, when the licensee sincerely believes that the showing property would cause panic in the neighborhood. Okay. This one's a little bit of a trick question. Because the answer is when the owner is out of town and instruct the licensee that no showing may be made, people often say, what do you mean? You can't refuse to show. That's wrong. But when you read the answer here, the owner is saying don't show it, not because the prospect is Asian, but just because they're saying don't show it to anybody. You got to be careful of those trick questions, especially when they're questions regarding discrimination, right? They'll make it a little tricky, okay? They'll make it a little tricky. And sometimes you have to read it over and over again. And this one seems a little easier, but you'll see ones like this where they'll say the seller can refuse to show it to that minority prospect or that person of that certain ethnicity or religion, okay? But if you read the whole thing, you'll see the owner saying, don't show it to anybody because I'm out of town, all right? So you see those questions come up quite a bit. There's another question that comes up where it says the seller and the people chose a buyer because they were white, right? And then they it's difficult because they're just like, oh wait, that's discrimination. But that buyer is innocent because he was chosen. He didn't do any choosing. Okay, so things like that you got to read a little closer on. All right, it's another example of how they try and trick you with that. And in that situation, that buyer's innocent because he has no idea why. Okay. If an advertisement is placed in a newspaper advertising a house for sale and only the APR is stated, A, additional disclosures are not required. B, total financing charges must include. C, number of payments must be included. D, the amount of the down payment must be included. Okay. Rest would apply to which of the following? A, subdivisions. B, homes and residential dwellings only. C, commercial real estate only. D, 1 to 4 family residential dwellings. Yeah, so the APR is supposed to be a comprehensive disclosure. It's like the all-in-one number. Okay, so D, 1 to 4 family residential dwellings. A land developer offers a free prize to anyone who replies to his direct mail advertisement and visits the site of his subdivision. The subdivider requires the prize winner to attend a sales presentation at the subdivision site prior to awarding the prize. The sales presentation requirement was not mentioned in the advertisement. This kind of promotion is A, legal if the prize winner purchases the property, B, illegal because free prizes cannot be offered under any circumstances, C, illegal because it does not disclose the sales presentation attendance requirement, or D, legal if the prize is actually awarded. C, illegal. A real estate broker is employed by the owner of a piece of real property to procure a purchaser. The broker presented 2 offers to the owner, one from a minority purchaser and one from a white purchaser, of which the minority purchaser had the higher of the 2 offers. Both the offers were rejected by the owner. The broker was then instrumental in helping the owner sell the property to the next door neighbor, who was purchasing the property in order to keep minorities out of the neighborhood. Of the following, who would not be guilty of discrimination? A, broker, B, owner, C, salesperson, D, white prospect. I think this is the one I was referring to before. Yeah, because this person just submitted an offer. Okay, they don't know why they were accepted, although they were chosen for the wrong reasons. And they were chosen for discriminatory reasons, but still, they're not the one who's going to be in trouble. Everybody else involved will be. When a buyer gives the agent a post-dated check, it A, must be delivered to the seller within 1 day. B, may be retained but must be disclosed to the seller. C, may not be accepted by the agent. Or D, must be cashed immediately. Oh, Rose, if the seller does not want to sell, they don't have to. It's the reason they chose a certain buyer. It's their reasoning. That could be discriminatory. It's not the action, it's the reasoning. Okay, B, may be retained but must be disclosed to the seller. Jackson leased his home to Sullivan with a verbal agreement to sell the property to Sullivan. Jackson knows that Sullivan has been making significant improvements to the property in reliance on the verbal agreement. Jackson now declines to sell the property to Sullivan. Which of the following best describes the rights of the parties? A. Jackson must sell because the doctrine of estoppel will apply in these cases. B. Jackson does not have to sell because of the statute of frauds. C. Jackson must sell because he made an ongoing ostensible agreement. Or D. Jackson must sell because he made an ostensible agreement. A. Good. The visually impaired person with a seeing eye dog makes application for rental of an apartment that has vigorously enforced no pets policy in the building. According to the Federal Fair Housing Act, as amended in 1988, the owner may require the person to restore any damage to the apartment that results from the dog. B. Require the person to house the dog outside the apartment. C. Increase the customary security deposit. D. Refuse to rent the applicant as a result of the policy. The owner of a house signs a listed agreement and later tells the salesperson that the garage roof leaks. If they tell the salesperson not to reveal the roof's condition to any prospective buyers, the salesperson must A. Abide by the owner's request. B. Advise only those prospective buyers who ask about the roof's condition. C. Advise the seller that they must disclose the condition of the roof to prospective buyers. D. Refer all prospective buyers who have questions about the roof's condition to the seller. If you do not reveal something you're aware of, what kind of fraud is that? What kind of fraud is that? It's not constructive fraud, not actual fraud. So this would be negative fraud. Negative fraud is suppression of the truth. Negative fraud. Everybody write negative fraud. Actual fraud is when you're straight up lying. Constructive fraud is when it's by accident. Negative fraud is when you know about it, but you don't talk about it. Okay? It's like when you purposely just don't talk about it. A minority couple asks a broker to show them a listed house. What is the broker guilty of if the broker suggests that they look at houses in areas with larger minority populations than that of the listed house? A. Blockbusting. B. Redlining. C. Steering. Or D. Panic peddling. What do you guys think? Steering. Good. Just think like you're steering a car. You're driving a car. So Ann Morris asks, what is panic peddling? Panic peddling is the same as blockbusting, and it's basically inducing listings by creating panic in the area. Okay, it's saying those people are moving to town. You don't want to live by them, do you? You better sell. Okay, that's panic peddling. It's the same as blockbusting. And it's a violation of the Fair Housing Act of 1968. Okay. Responsibilities of the seller at closing usually include paying the A, lender's title insurance, B, title examination, C, broker's commission, or D, loan origination fee. Okay, C, broker's commission. I hope you guys go to open houses this weekend. Please do that. A homeowner who plans to travel for a year asks a real estate firm to rent the house for this period and indicates a preference for a white family rather than a black family. If at all possible, under the Federal Fair Housing Act, the broker should inform the owner that these instructions, A, will be followed only if the salesperson accepts responsibility in case of a lawsuit, B, cannot be followed because they violate the act, C, will be followed only if the owner puts that in writing, or D, will be followed because normally the house is owner occupied. B, cannot be followed because they violate the act. I hope all you guys have already created your professional Facebook page or professional Instagram, anything you want to use for after you pass. Not necessarily started promoting and selling on it, but created the structure so you're ready to go. Remember, don't do things after you pass that you could have done before. Get those things done before you pass. It's the worst feeling after you pass, you're all excited, then you start doing things and you're just like, oh, I could have done all this before. There's so much that you guys could do before you pass. You want to do all that. Think of it like this. If you're opening up a storefront and you're not allowed to sell the items in that store until you get your license, all right, what would you do? You would build the store. You would build you would build the doors, you would build the desk, you would build the shelves, you would build the roof, you would do everything. You would create the signs in the window. So once that license came, you were ready to sell all the product in that store. You wouldn't wait till the license came to get that building and put up the windows and the signs and all the rest of it. Okay. The Housing and Urban Development HUD settlement statement includes which of the following information? A, the seller's closing costs only. B, the buyer's and seller's closing costs. C, the closing costs that are tax deductible. Or D, the total interest and principal to be paid by the buyers only. Okay, what do you guys think? B, the buyers and sellers closing costs. Where's everybody from? What state is everybody from? Just curious. What state are we all studying for here? Oregon, Massachusetts, California, New Jersey. Why is it when everybody says New Jersey, they always scream like, Jersey, New Jersey? I went to a wedding, somebody from Jersey, and every time they said New Jersey, everybody from Jersey had to scream New Jersey. I think Bruce Springsteen started that. The boss. Okay. In a real estate closing, the buyer generally pays for the A, preparation of the deed, B, release of the mortgage, C, recording of a new mortgage, D, sales commission. My brother actually married a girl from Jersey. Jersey girl. She loves the Eagles, the Philadelphia Eagles. C, recording of a new mortgage. Interesting fact about New Jersey, you guys could use this when you don't have nothing to say, you're looking for conversation pieces, is the most densely populated state in the United States, as in the most houses per square foot or acre. I don't know how I'd phrase it. You guys get the idea. There's not a lot of big empty space there. In order for a property manager to determine net operating income on a property, which of the following fees is subtracted from the effective gross income? A, advances to owners, B, reserves for replacements, C, operating expenses, or D, debt services. Operating expenses. Davila, salesperson associated with Broker Brown, is serving as a buyer's agent for White. After White has bought Nona's house, Davila can expect a payment of commission from A, Brown, B, Nona, C, either White or Nona, depending on the sales agreement reads, or D, White. A, Brown. The Civil Rights Act of 1866 prohibits discrimination in real estate based on A, race, B, handicapped and country of origin, C, race and gender, D, gender and religion. For this one, you got to kind of know your history. In 1866, there wasn't a lot of people fighting for gender rights or handicap rights, and I don't know how big of an issue immigration was. Well, people were obviously immigrating then, so country of origin they didn't talk about, but people weren't fighting for those rights. 1866 was a big year because that's right after the Civil War. We had the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery. A little American history worked into the real estate exam. The IRS requires that independent contractor be A, strictly regulated in the matter of attendance at sales meetings, B, paid on the basis of successful transactions rather than hours worked, C, covered by unemployment insurance, D, allowed at least 1 week of paid vacation annually. And the answer is B. Real estate agents are licensed by A, the local association of realtors, B, the United States General Office, C, the Federal Trade Commission, or D, their state governing body. Okay, the answer is D. We know licenses are governed by each state. They all have different laws. That's why a lot of state-specific content, that's the stuff we don't go over in these webinars. We obviously go over the stuff that applies to every state. But because the real estate license are governed by each state, each of you have a portion of your exam. Most of you actually have a separate exam that focuses solely on state content. But as somebody who's looked at a lot of these exams for the individual states, even those have information that cross over from state to state in a big way. So if you guys have teachers who are telling you that each state is totally different, the exam, they've never looked at an exam from another state. So if you guys are thinking about getting a license in another state, I recommend you do it as soon as you pass the one in the state you're currently in, because you will find like it's much easier to pass it in the other state if you follow up while the information's fresh. It's not going to be brand new information. There obviously will be certain things that are new, but the majority of it will be the same. I know some of you guys want to get licensed in 2 states. The Civil Rights Act of 1866 prohibits discrimination and provides A, exceptions for some owner-occupied housing, B, exceptions of certain apartment buildings, C, exceptions for private clubs, D, no exceptions. And the answer is D, no exceptions. All right, guys, that's it for today. I will see you guys soon. We're going to send out the schedule tomorrow for the following week. And other than that, have a great day. Make sure you guys go to some open houses and participate in our real estate exam study group on Facebook, obviously. Always love when people do that. Thanks, guys.